Hi, everybody. We are back again with another Facebook Live to continue our discussion on self-care strategies. And I'm very excited to have with me Andrea Hummel of Improv for Peace. So welcome, Andrea.
Thanks. Hey, good to see you again.
Yes, good to see you too. And yeah, I'm just so grateful that you're here to share your insights and help hold people's hands along this journey that the whole world is in together.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and as I was telling you before, it's at least on this end, it seems like it's a different journey every week. The first week I had a lot of strong feelings about what was going on, and realized I had a lot of anger, and I thought, you know what, just let those feelings out. And this week it's more about, okay, let's take all this feeling, or the space that's been created inside of me by letting go of those feelings, and create some new opportunities for myself, some new opportunities for the community. I've actually been finding that I'm more productive now than I have been in the past. It's either I have a lot of adrenaline, or I'm trying to keep myself busy 24/7 and squeeze in some extra house cleaning and an extra marketing project, or who knows what. But it's been an interesting journey for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and we just talked before I hit record that we're doing so many house projects. We've almost redone the whole house.
Yeah,
And, yeah, it is that creative side of me, and doing this like these live interviews is just it was just an inspiration that came to me, and I thought so. I feel the creative juices flowing, and I understand. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I so appreciate this, because I mean, one of the things I've been really wanting, and I'm sure other people have been wanting to some degree, is that social connection. And I mean, it's not enough for me to listen to an audio podcast. I actually want to be right there with you. And so, I mean, I've been wanting and reaching out to my friends and saying, hey, can we have a virtual tea party or something like that? And a lot of people aren't quite there yet.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing in terms of self-care, and what I thought might be interesting to share with other people too, is the self-care I've been doing has been more just myself. But I'm simulating the experience of being with each other. Like, for example, I'm going to exercise class now. I'm going to yoga class, but not somewhere in a studio. And so before the pandemic, I was having a really hard time making myself get out the door and put on that yoga outfit and drive over there. And now I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to do this because I can do this in my living room, and I have my yoga mat set up, and I watch the same video every morning at 10:30. um, so I've been doing, like I said, going to virtual exercise classes. My daughter has been doing shadow boxing, also, just in the privacy of her own room. I've been going to museums. I've figured out there's a lot of virtual museum tours you can take to the
Yeah.
Guggenheim and the Louvre, and it's some places in St. Petersburg, Russia, that I've been wanting to go to. And so I don't want to say it's giving me an excuse to go do those things, but it's giving me the motivation to go out, so to speak. And I really have to tell myself it is sort of like going out, to do all these things.
Right.
And I found there's book clubs online that you can go to, virtual book clubs. There's even virtual worship services, all kinds of things. And again, like I said before, I'm doing a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have done before because it was too much effort to get out of the house.
Right.
Um, but now I'm saying, well, you know what? Those opportunities are right here. And so I'm doing that. And this morning I actually discovered that, I think it's just for the rest of this week, maybe next week also, there's a lot of plays and musicals on Broadway live streaming. So I'm going to go see some Broadway shows this week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And my daughter just, before all this happened, she was in New York City, and she couldn't see a lot of those shows, obviously, because they're expensive and you need to get a ticket and all that. And so, you know what? We're just going to go see them now.
That's so awesome. I love it. And one of the things that popped into my head as you were talking was how we can start to create these new habits And once the pandemic clears out and everything starts to return to, I don't want to say normal, but a, a normalized state for, maybe where we were, and that maybe we'll say, oh, I really enjoyed doing that yoga every morning at 10:30, and now I'm going to go to a yoga class. And so we can start to create those habits, or start to say, I do really enjoy going to plays, or seeing Broadway and seeing shows, so maybe I'll go visit my local theater.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I've heard people say that starting again as early as last week, that we should see this as a wonderful opportunity to reinvent the way we socialize, to reinvent the way we live our lives, and to get away from commercialized societies, which I think in U.S. society we are more focused on commercial aspects than we are in perhaps some other countries. And I mean, I have to be honest, I really love that concept, and I personally am not quite there yet. I'm still in the stage of saying, you know what, this is really uncomfortable the way we have to do things now. Um, but what I'm letting myself do is be okay with the discomfort,
Yeah.
because the more you let that out and the more you say, okay, you know what, I'm naming that as discomfort, I'm naming that as whatever feeling it is, then it becomes okay for me. And then, like I was saying before, it makes room for me to then say, okay, and not but then I'm going to engage in positive behaviors. Instead, I'm saying, and I'm going to engage in different behaviors. And so that makes all the difference for me to say, this is not comfortable where we are right now as a society. And okay, well, go find something creative to do anyway, including, dyeing my hair purple.
Right. I love it.
So, a lot of people have asked me about that, and been saying, well, it's because my spontaneity and playfulness is oozing out. But honestly, it was just because I was bored and my daughter and I needed something to do, so she dyed my hair. And okay, that's fine.
I think it's fun and I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So
So
talk to everybody a little bit about what it is you do, and do a little introduction of yourself.
yeah, so I help people work through the personal stories that they carry with them through their life, and not only tell the stories, but also shape them into something different, shape them into something positive. And sometimes we talk about, well, we've got inner voices, conflicting voices. We have a story that defines us, a life story that defines us, but it can sometimes hold us back. And so I help people work through those stories and turn them into something positive. Um, and so for some reason, I'm feeling a need to segue into more strategies for how to deal with what we're working with right now in terms of the pandemic, because instead of again taking the story of, oh, this is really difficult, I'm choosing to turn it into a positive and actually make it even bigger, in the sense that, for example, if I say, okay, I'm now going to go to that Broadway play online, it would be really easy for me to, sit on the bed in my pajamas and click on my little phone and watch some movie or some video on a Broadway play. But the ritual side of myself, again, getting back to the work I do professionally, is saying, no, 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 you actually need to make an event out of it, create more meaning. So what I've started doing is, for example, dressing up to go watch a Broadway play. Or if we're watching a movie on Netflix, we don't just plop down on the couch with a TV dinner or something. No, we'll actually, put on shoes. Obviously, I can't get my husband to dress up, but that's okay. But, we have a certain start time, and we'll make popcorn ahead of time. And so it starts at a specific time, and then we go into the living room. And so it becomes a real event, because the human psyche really has a need for that kind of meaning making. And so it's not enough, especially in this time when we're all feeling discombobulated, to just go do something to stay occupied. No, we're still wanting that social connection, but in a different way. So it needs to have a shape and a color and a texture to it, so to speak.
Yeah,
Or
beautiful.
like what I do with my online yoga classes. I mean, I have an extra, very fortunate to have an extra room in the house. So I've got my yoga mat laid out there, and the computer's there, and I've got my little yoga blocks and everything. I mean, the dogs think that's a place for them to sit. It's not, but but I mean, it's a designated room that I go to, and I have a timer set on my phone, and it dings every day at 10:30. And so then, I go into the other room and do it there. So again, that's a way to create structure. Um, and I mean, taking it back to the question you asked about what is it that I do professionally? Yeah, that's really it, to create structure, and within that structure, to have the spontaneity that we need to kind of work through whatever it is that we're working through.
Yeah,
So it kind of
yeah.
melds together. Yeah.
And you've worked in countries and organizations and so forth in helping to in your improv for peace role, right? In doing such.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so
So
now this global thing is happening. Yeah. So
yeah. Yeah, and this morning, I mean, speaking of global, I saw a beautiful video of Germans in Bamberg, actually, which is a small town in Germany, who were feeling so touched by what was going on in Italy that they reached out to the Italians, and they made a video of them singing. It was like the whole apartment complex, I think. And so they sent it to the Italians via Facebook or something, and
oh
them singing in Italian. It's so beautiful because, obviously Germans speak German and not necessarily Italian. And here they were singing in Italian, and with their requisite 6 feet away from each other. Everybody was on their little balconies, either singing or banging on trash cans or tambourine or something. And it just sounded so beautiful. And I thought, here's another way that globally we're coming together.
yes.
And it's just, I keep looking for those little moments of humanity, of how, you know what, we are making it through already. And we have to keep thinking we're going to get through this pandemic somehow. So
Yes.
there's always something to be learned. Yeah.
Yeah. I just said that on my previous interview just an hour ago, and said that it's I'm finding so much hope in this situation, and that I'm just seeing so many examples of people helping one another, of people reaching out, of people trying to make a difference, of people saying, I'm sewing masks because I don't know what to do. And so they're just
Wow.
creating masks, because there's a shortage, or creating, I have friends, multiple friends, who are creating bags of food for children and putting them in the little pantry boxes. I mean, there's so many beautiful things that I'm seeing, and it fills my heart with hope.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that again, so many of us feel the need to do something,
Yeah,
and we're not all doctors and nurses that we can actually cure, but just to do those little things. And, to those people who would say, well, there's a lot of negative people in society who are saying, oh, well, it's because of this and that, and we're never going to get anywhere, and we still have a shortage of toilet paper and all that. I would say, it's not that we have more negative people right now during the pandemic. It's just those are the people who probably, unfortunately, would have been negative any other time. We're
yeah,
just seeing it in sharper relief right now. And so again, yeah, there are some mornings where I'll scroll the headlines, the newspaper headlines, and see all that negativity, and then I say, you know what, I choose not to pay attention to that right now. I don't think I'm burying my head in the sand. I'm just saying I choose to focus somewhere else, because I would rather be one of those people who sews the face masks and makes the food packages for the kids. Because
yeah.
what else can you do, like you said? Yeah.
Right, right. Beautiful. So anything else that you want to touch upon before we close out?
Um, Again, along the lines of us needing these virtual connections, and I've talked about things like book clubs and worship services, and even me doing exercise class with my sister. So I've got the phone here and the computer there, and we're both doing it together. Other ways that people have found to connect is through what I mentioned before, virtual tea parties.
Yeah.
So those are starting to come up. I'm doing some of those. I'm also doing providing some other opportunities for people to just have a forum, a 1 or 2 hour online forum of talking about processing some of their feelings, so that they can work through them, because a lot of times our partners or our family has heard the same thing over and over again, and it's just too much, but we still need to get it out. And so I would say it's important to look for those kinds of opportunities wherever they are, to just keep connecting and to keep talking and to keep dealing with it, rather than just bottling it up inside. That's an
Yeah.
important thing.
And I love that idea. You had sent me a link for something, and I registered for one tomorrow of just one of those conversations and gathering of people, and excited to be a part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do people get a hold of you, find out about these virtual tea parties, if they can be a part of it, or, yeah.
Yeah, so the easiest way is to email me. My email address is improvforpeace@gmail.com. Really simple. Just make sure that you spell improv, not improve. We all want to improve, but this one's improv is an improvisation. Improvforpeace@gmail.com, or my website, which is the same thing, improvforpeace.com. Yeah, so that's the easiest way at the moment. I haven't set the dates for some of the things I'm doing, but it's, I'll put the dates out there as soon as things get a little more organized. And check out my Facebook page. There's information on there too. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's also Improv for Peace.
Right. Yep.
Yes.
Same one.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I thank you for the work you do in the world, which is beautiful. And I thank you for joining us here today and sharing your beautiful insights with people on some self-care strategies and ways to stay and feel connected during this time of isolation.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Well, take care, everyone. Until next time, remember, be gentle with yourself. All right. Bye-bye.